Part 162. Magic Planet Online Game. Author, Lanzai Cai Shi Zhen Shen. Chapter 1611. To Xiao Ming's surprise, the appetite of the god King Odin was much smaller than that of the goddess Athena. The small universe he needed for the initial resurrection was only about 60% of that needed by Athena. Looking at his tall and big body, his face and personality were extremely fierce, and he was unexpectedly not greedy at all. On the contrary, Athena was gentle and wise, making people feel like spring breeze. But when asking for small universes, she was very rude. It's true that God can't be judged by appearance. Xiao Ming's blind guess was actually wrong. How many small universes a god needs to be resurrected is not decided by him, but set by the game system. The basis is the size of the power of the god. Different gods have different influences, and the power that can be borrowed by being a subordinate of the god is also different. The basic principle of the game is that the input and output should be roughly equal. Therefore, the conditions for resurrecting the god are also different in difficulty. Xiao Ming knows the power of the great god Odin. There are only 7 genuine god warriors in total, plus a spokesperson, North Star Hilda. It is really alone and can only defend a small piece of land in northern Europe. The resources that Asgard can mobilize are very limited. People who believe in Odin are basically limited to northern Europe. It is only by relying on the advantages of geographical conditions that it can fight against other gods. Compared with the 88 on-the-job saints and the goddess Athena of the Pope, it pales in comparison. The Greek sanctuary is located in Athens, Greece. Its prosperity ranks among the top in Europe. It can be said that it is far ahead of Asgard in the Nordic countries in all aspects. The only one who really stands out in strength is Hades. This guy has 108 Hades saints, Pandora, and 2 god-level fighters, the god of death and the god of sleep. Hades has an absolute advantage in combat power. In terms of resources, Hades controls the underworld and is even richer. Therefore, the world of Saint Seiya that Xiao Ming experienced at the beginning was a world that brought together the forces of Odin, Athena, and Poseidon, and they all went to die with Hades. Poseidon, the Sea King, was only slightly stronger than Odin. He had 7 sea warriors under his command, which was comparable to the god warriors. But he, who ruled the sea, had more wealth than Athena. With financial resources, his power level was probably between Odin and Athena. The power of these 4 gods was so different that the difficulty of resurrecting them was naturally different. Odin was the cheapest. After the explorer initially resurrected the great god Odin, he immediately received a system prompt similar to that of the researcher. First, the explorer opened a hidden task group of the Golden Myth level, the rebirth of the gods of Asgard. Second, the explorer opened a hidden task chain of the Red Legendary level, the rebirth of god King Odin. Third, the explorer opened and completed the hidden task of the Orange Epic level, the awakening of god King Odin. The rewards were almost exactly the same. 1 experience reward, the explorer's adventure level rises by 5 levels, and the god warrior profession is obtained. The microcosm attribute is opened, with an upper limit of 1000. See, except for the name, they are almost exactly the same. The only difference is that the explorer's god warrior is the 3rd combat profession, not the 1st combat profession. The explorer's 1st combat profession is still Jedi Knight Alchemist Swordsman Crossbow Ascetic. His ascetic suit and rattan staff are both purple perfect level equipment, which are already very powerful. So it is extremely difficult to go to the next level, at least the initial resurrection of the great god Odin is not enough. The god warrior can only be ranked 3rd combat profession. The explorer's 2nd combat profession is Taoist. Of course, except for the 1st combat profession, the rankings behind are not in order. For a character, it is good to get the 2nd combat profession. At this stage, no one can get the 3rd combat profession, and there is no need to distinguish. As the third combat profession, the God Warrior can only bring the microcosm attribute to the explorer, and cannot change the growth rate of his various attributes, and the conversion relationship between attributes. Fortunately, the Jedi Knight class has been changed. This class is no less than the God Warrior, and both are top combat classes, so the explorer will not suffer any loss. The growth rate of each attribute of the player character and the conversion rate between them are based only on the strongest one in the first combat class. Therefore, whether the God Warrior is added or not will not affect this aspect. 2 God Fighting Clothes rewards. Explorers and researchers are allowed to choose one of the 7 God Fighting Clothes. Xiaoming actually knows more about these few God Warriors. After all, he was the head of the Nordic Fairy Palace for many years. He also knows all the information he should know. Most of the God Warriors are the type of rushing and fighting, and their tyrannical strength depends entirely on the small universe. The only 2 exceptions are Tianquan Star Albilizi and Yaoguang Star Mayime. Tianquan Star's moves are Amethyst Seal, Elf Magic Fist, and a powerful weapon, the Sword of Flame. The Flame Sword is a powerful weapon. The Amethyst Seal can seal a person in it, absorb the essence of the sealed person, and finally turn him into a skeleton. The Elf Magic Fist, also known as Heaven and Man in One, can make the endless power between heaven and earth become one's own helper. They are all very powerful moves. But Xiaoming already knows the Amethyst move. The Elf Magic Fist is not as powerful as the natural Devil Fruit. As for the Flame Sword, it is not certain whether it exists, and even if it does, Xiaoming does not like it. So it is better to choose Yaoguangxing. Eta Star Yaoguang Star God Warrior Soul Calming Piano, Miyime, except for the light speed punch comparable to the Gold Saint, his other moves are all related to music. Hypnotic Soul Calming Song can be used to confuse the opponent, which is equivalent to an illusion attack. Magic String Funeral Song uses the strings to tie up the enemy. The power is very good. In the past, Xiaoming was actually a music idiot and often sang out of tune. But with the growth of strength, he has surpassed the strongest musicians in pitch and control of sound. Of course, it can also be said that he lacks soul whether he is playing or singing. Although it is very accurate, it is not very popular. Even in the secret realm of the legend of the Condor heroes, Xiaoming learned the Blue Sea Tide song, but it did not improve Xiaoming's musical literacy. It just gave him a musical attack method. This time, the explorer chose the God Fighting Clothes of Yaoguang Star as well. Anyway, you have to choose one, right? Why not choose a God Fighting Clothes that is still somewhat fresh? Yaoguang Star God Cloth, 7th level suit, life plus 10,000, strength plus 10,000, overall defense plus 5,000, overall attack plus 5,000. Consumes 500 points of small universe every minute. Its attributes are no different from the first female Gold Saint cloth. This is also reasonable. The Nordic Asgard has only 7 genuine God Warriors. Not as many as 12 Gold Saints. Let the attributes of the God Cloth match those of the Gold Saint Cloth, no problem. Magic Planet Online Game. Author, Lanzai Cai Shi Zhenshen. Chapter 1612. Unfortunately, Odin is a little stingier than the goddess. He actually didn't open up all the inheritance of Shaking Light Star God's clothes for explorers to redeem. Now you can only exchange it for the most basic move Light Speed Punch. The level 7 single target attack skill consumes 2500 microcosm points and causes damage comparable to level 7. Cooling time 1 second. Not bad, Xiaoming chose to redeem it without any hesitation. After all, this move consumes less of the small universe, but its attack power is very strong. At this stage, it is still very deterrent to take advantage of the enemy. Although the explorer's small universe has a limit of only 1000, he can't even fire a single move. But it doesn't matter, there will definitely be many corresponding tasks in the future, and the small universe limit will definitely be rewarded, so it will definitely be used in the future. Now it is time to consider where it would be better to build the first temple of Odin. That's right, the explorer naturally got the title of Odin's first follower, and he also had a monthly quota of one temple cornerstone. Even the tasks in the second link of the task chain are almost identical. Odin's Glory, Orange Epic Quest. In order to recreate the glory of God King Odin, players need to meet the following conditions. 1. Build an Odin temple. 2. The temple has at least 100 believers. 3. Recruit at least 3 god warriors. There is no upper limit on the quantity, the more the better. However, there are differences between the Nordic Asgard and the Greek sanctuary. In the original work, it seems that it has never been said that each divine warrior has his own temple/palace. It's probably because Asgard is relatively barren, and it would be nice to be able to build an Odin temple. I really don't have that much money and resources to build palaces for the 7 divine warriors. So Xiao Ming decided to directly repair the main temple of Odin. It cannot be said to be a construction, because the main structure of the Odin temple has not been destroyed at all. It's just that Odin's divine thoughts no longer envelope this place. Calling it repair is a bit too much, now it's more like activation. Unfortunately, the activation failed this time. The game's creative team is up to the same old Greek sanctuary trick again. The system prompts that only after at least 4 god warriors have built their own palaces, Odin's believers will be eligible to build the North Star Temple, and then it will be the turn of Odin's main temple. This is actually much simpler than the construction conditions of the Temple of Athena. But it's not something that happens overnight. So where should I build my own Temple of Odin that shakes the light star? Is it built in this deserted and icy fairy palace? Or find another place? Or go to Athens to restore the embassy? At this moment, an idea suddenly flashed in Xiao Ming's mind. Otherwise, how about building the temple on Liangshan Mountain? It can be a red thread for the Liangshan forces and the newly resurrected god Odin, and connect them together. It must be really delicious. If you think about it carefully, the two of them are actually very complementary. Odin lacks believers. If many Liangshan heroes can believe in him, he should welcome him. However, Liangshan lacked a strong backer and was known as a rebel. If you can get a god to back you up, why not? In the game, theocracy and political power are compatible with each other. Being a bandit in Liangshan did not stop the explorers from believing in the god of light and the god of the sea. Nowadays, it is trivial to believe in the great god Odin. The more Xiao Ming thought about it, the more he felt that there was something wrong with this matter. Of course, there were many problems that needed to be solved. The first big problem was where the headquarters should be located. Are you asking Liangshan to move the village to northern Europe? Or are Odin's believers going to the Great Song River to build a temple? Of course, the most likely thing is that the main temple of Odin is still in the Scandinavian mountains, and it just established a branch on Liangshan Mountain. Then there is the threat that the branch will be too strong and in turn oppress the headquarters. At the same time, Xiao Ming also had to consider that he was originally the number 1 believer in Odin and would probably be in charge of Immortal Palace in the future. If Liangshan forces are introduced, will it cause them to lose power? You must know that Song Jiang is a typical political master. If Xiao Ming follows the rules, he will definitely not be able to defeat him. Xiao Ming does not need to consider his own power, but he must consider Liangshan's attributes. This group of bandits may turn Odin's forces into the same banditry. But having said that, the most devout believers in the Nordic gods are the Vikings living in Denmark, Norway, and Sweden. These guys seem to be just a group of bandits, except that they are almost all pirates. They successively invaded Eastern Europe, Britain, France, the Principality of Normandy, Scotland, and Ireland. They raided the Mediterranean coast. They even reached America before the Age of Discovery, but were driven away by the Indians. The moral level of these guys is not as good as the Liangshan heroes, and far worse. God King Odin is also a relatively warlike god. He is more in tune with the Vikings, and he is probably also in tune with the heroes of Liangshan. Maybe this will create a powerful and terrifying force. It would be okay if this force came to Northern Europe, but it would be bad if it stayed in the Song dynasty and harmed the people of the Han family. It doesn't matter on the European side, they are in the dark ages of the Middle Ages. Even the brave and ruthless Liangshan heroes were much more civilized than the Europeans at this time. After several considerations, Xiao Ming finally made the decision and just did it. Of course, the first Shaking Star Temple must be built in Northern Europe. Odin cannot be lured to the Song dynasty. Xiao Ming used his mental power to scan the map of the Immortal Palace, trying to find a suitable location to build the temple. Suddenly something moved in my heart. Just build the temple according to the orientation of the Big Dipper. I am already very familiar with the Tiangang Big Dipper formation. After observing the orientation, Xiao Ming suddenly found that he seemed to have the same idea as the system. Now the explorer is standing in the main temple of Odin. The North Star Temple will also be built here in the future. After that, Xiao Ming calculated the orientation and saw the corresponding position of the Big Dipper. Surprisingly, every location is a plain area suitable for building a temple. None of them fell in a very inconvenient place. For example, a ridge or the bottom of a lake. Moreover, a little bit of residual ruins can be seen in these 7 locations. However, the traces are very slight. At first glance, I thought they were the ruins left by the residential houses in the past. Only people who check with special thoughts like Xiao Ming can find this trick. Some people may say that maybe these ruins were residential houses in the past, and this is just a coincidence. But, it is normal for 1 or 2 to happen by chance, and it is reasonable for 3 or 4 to happen. If all 7 are, it can never be a simple coincidence. This clue is very obscure. If you are not careful, you may overlook it. Normal players may not think so much when building the first Odin temple. If Xiao Ming had not completed the entire plot of the Legend of the Condor Heroes and had not been exposed to and learned the Tiangang Baidu formation many times, even he might not have discovered this trick. The clues are too obscure. After discovering it, the reward will probably be much higher. Maybe. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Magic Planet Online Game. Author, Lanzai Cai Shi Zhenshen. Chapter 1613. Yaoguang Star Odin Temple, Intermediate Temple Faith Value, 0/1 million, Believers, 1/10,000, Daily Maintenance consumes 1000 points of faith value. Its functions are as follows. 1. Prayer. The temple accepts the prayers of believers every day to increase the faith value. As the administrator, the first believer explorer has the right to call 1/5 of it for his own use. 2. Teleport, strategic map transmission and reception. Heroes and generals who believe in the god King Odin can lead their troops through this temple to transmit between the strategic map and the adventure map. 3. Blessing. Believers can consume their own faith value to obtain the blessing of the great god Odin. Visually, these functions are not as useful as the primary light temple of the diver. In fact, the first female Pallas Athena temple of the researcher is also like this. Only the name is different. The reason for this is that I believe everyone can guess it without saying it. It is nothing more than because Odin and Athena have just revived and most functions are unable to be opened. In fact, the third blessing function is just a nominal blessing. There is no actual effect on players or NPCs. It's just like you can feel the god looking at you, which is a placebo effect. The maintenance fee of 1000 points of faith value per day is actually very scary. Normal players will not build an intermediate temple from the beginning. You must follow the steps and accumulate believers one by one. Xiaoming has this confidence because he can use source energy to replenish the faith value of the temple, and the exchange rate is also very cost-effective. This is naturally the routine of the game master Nine-Tailed Fox to obtain source energy from Xiaoming. After all, the player or NPC praying to increase the faith value is just a data. And Xiaoming uses source energy to convert faith value, which can provide high-quality energy to the Nine-Tailed Fox. Of course, he has to set more. Xiaoming saves trouble, and he is also happy, a win-win. In addition, a normal temple, such as the Temple of Light in Grey Rock Town. The 4/5 of the faith value that belongs to God that it accumulates will generally be kept in the temple. Although the administrators and divers cannot use them, the God of Light can use these faith values to organize some activities from time to time and show miracles to increase believers. Since the temple in Greystone Town is the first tentacles of the God of Light to enter the underwater world, the God of Light has really shown miracles twice. But they chose to do it when the divers were not in Greystone Town. Maybe they didn't want the divers to take advantage of it? Xiaoming thought so, but he was judging others by his own meanness. In fact, as one of the top gods in the main game, the God of Light would not care about being taken advantage of by meritorious people. The main purpose of avoiding divers to do miracles is to prevent the administrator from being inexperienced and accidentally messing things up. Of course, it is also related to the fact that the divers are often not in the temple. The two temples of Chinook Palace and Yeoguang Star are different. In order to supplement daily consumption, Xiaoming has used source energy to charge their faith values to about half full. But soon, Odin and Athena left the 1/5 controlled by the administrator, and the rest were directly withdrawn. It turns out that faith, like the microcosm, can also help them restore their strength. Compared with the microcosm, faith is easier to obtain. Therefore, the two temples currently store about 100,000 faith points for the explorers to mobilize. However, with the current 3 functions of the temple, he actually has no place to use faith points. He can only save it for daily maintenance of the temple. Next, Xiaoming faces a choice. Should he return to the Song dynasty immediately to deal with the matter of connecting Odin and Shuabo Liangshan, or should he wait and switch to another character to play for a while? Xiaoming decided to wait. Although the Nordic Asgard is sparsely populated, since Odin has been resurrected, there should be, probably, an 80% of believers slowly gathering here. It might be better to win over a group of local believers first, so as to prevent the explorers from being sidelined by Liangshan in the future. Let time fly for a while. So, Xiaoming left the explorer here to wait for a while to see the situation, and switched to the dead again, and took the diver to Athens with the portal. During this period, the diver's main focus was on the strategic map, consolidating the new city of Amman. He was much more relaxed on the adventure map, leaving it to the intelligent program Xiao Sier. You know, intelligent programs usually only choose tasks that don't require much flexibility, and most of them are business-type tasks. Why? Because this type of task is the simplest and most confident to complete. As mentioned before, the rewards for this type of task tend to be money, and there is still less experience. Therefore, the diver's adventure level is also the lowest. At the beginning of October, it was less than level 3. After more than a month of stacking tasks, he is now level 3 and level 4. The ability to easily pass the promotion task is because of the characteristics of the Naga clan. A Naga can evolve from a 2-armed Naga to a 4-armed Naga when it is at level 2-3. Therefore, in most cases, the task of Naga's promotion from level 2 to level 3 is related to the extra 2 arms. That is actually a very difficult task. With the ability of the intelligent program, it will probably be stuck. However, Xiaoming had already evolved the diver to a 4-armed Naga, and the task of upgrading to level 3 was done in advance. Only then could Xiao Seer successfully upgrade. After upgrading to level 3, the diver's attributes are, Strength 36, Constitution 36, Agility 36, Intelligence 20, Spirit 20. Not counting equipment, life is 540, strength is 540, mana is 160, and telekinesis is 100. Naga is a hidden race, so it is normal for the attributes to be higher. As a four-armed Naga of the Naga clan, the diver's agility attribute is generally lower than strength and constitution. Now it can be equal to strength and constitution because of Xiaoming's fixed point adding routine. All the free attribute points of character upgrades will be added to agility unless Xiaoming makes special arrangements. Because for Xiaoming himself, only the agility attribute is still a little useful. The others are all covered by his own strong strength. Xiao Er, Xiao San, Xiao Si, and Xiao Wu have quite a few opinions on this matter. Because agility is not as useful as the other four attributes in individual combat. Only combat professions such as thieves and archers need a lot of agility attributes. Xiaoming ordered all free attributes to be piled on agility, which actually reduced the combat effectiveness of the four characters. It is difficult for the intelligent programs to level up by killing monsters, and they have to do only business-type tasks, which is also related to Xiaoming's extreme way of adding points. But he is determined to do this, and the intelligent programs can't do anything about it. Be patient, good days are coming. After the four game characters have obtained professions such as Saint Seiya, the growth rate of various attributes will crush other normal professions in all aspects. Free attribute points, Xiaoming can add whatever he wants. Magic Planet Online Game. Author, Lanzai Cai Shi Zhenshen. Chapter 1614. Are you sure you want to give up the Purple Master level mission, buy 100 units of high-grade steel? Just after taking over the diver, Xiaoming found that this game character actually carried a Purple Master level mission. There are indeed more than 100 units of high-grade steel in the warehouse, and it is unknown which intelligent program bought it from where. As long as these materials are delivered, the mission is completed. As long as the Purple Master level mission is completed, I believe the experience reward will be considerable. At least it will not be a problem to let the diver upgrade 1 or 2 levels. But now the diver is level 3 and level 4. Once it is upgraded to level 5, its adventure attribute will be improved according to the growth rate of level 3 Naga. That's a loss. You know, as long as the first combat profession is converted to a sea warrior, the growth rate will increase significantly. If it is upgraded to level 5 before that, the attribute will be improved according to the original growth rate, which is too uneconomical. Therefore, although the master level mission is rare, although the mission items are already in the warehouse, and the high rewards are at hand, Xiaoming still resolutely gave up the mission. I kept laughing in my heart, I'm so lucky, just a little bit away. It's a pity to give up the master level task. However, the diver is about to receive the Golden Myth level hidden task group, the Red Legendary level hidden task chain, and the Orange Epic level task. I don't want the purple task. I don't want it. There is no need to say more about the specific details. With the reminder of Odin's Embassy Temple, Xiaoming knows how to go through the process. As long as you find the teleportation array in the ruins of the Temple of Poseidon, you can go directly to the real underwater temple. This is real good luck. If you really only get a coordinate and don't find the abandoned teleportation array, the diver will have to drive the boat around the world to search, and I don't know how many risks he will experience on the way. Of course, according to the standards of the game system, the difficulty of repairing the teleportation array and then teleporting to the underwater temple is about the same as searching all over the world. So there is no discount on the reward. However, repairing and starting the teleportation array is many times easier for Xiaoming. This is also his personal unique cheat, which other players can't envy. Even players can't imagine that at the time when mainstream players have just entered the 4th level, some people have already opened the mid to late stage top level task group. In the original work of Saint Seiya, the Sea Warriors and Hades Warriors are actually humans. They were chosen by the Scale Clothes and Hades Clothes to become warriors of the Sea Emperor Poseidon. The difference is that the Hades Clothes naturally have the ability inheritance of 108 magic stars, and do not need to be strong. The Scale Clothes need to choose more suitable warriors. In the main game of Magic Planet, there is no need to copy the original work. The sea tribes under the sea are so prosperous, who is more suitable to be a sea warrior than them? Poseidon would be wrong if he didn't think so. So as a Naga diver, he has received more favor from Poseidon's remaining microcosm. If he chooses to go to the ruins of a palace of a certain sea general, he may be allowed to get part of the inheritance in advance. But the diver didn't do this. Because his current situation is very special, if he really does this, he may be promoted to level 5 in a row. He doesn't even want to level up now. So Xiao Ming rushed to the statue of Poseidon and spent a lot of microcosm to awaken the Sea King. It was about 80% of the microcosm used to awaken the goddess Athena. The sea warrior successfully integrated into the first combat profession of the diver, obtained the title of first follower of Poseidon. The task chain was also accepted, the rewards were also received, and other changes that should be changed were also changed. The most important gain was naturally the scale clothing that could be comparable to the Golden Saint clothing. Under the guidance of the Force, Xiao Ming chose Sea Prince scale cloth for the diver. The magical thing is that this scale clothing should have been paired with a divine golden gun, which is the weapon of the sea general who guards the Indian Ocean pillar. It is extremely sharp and can raise strong airflows through the air to injure the enemy. Because the diver is a four-armed Naga, the scale clothing has not only an extra pair of arm armor, but also 2 square shields added to the pair of arms. It is undoubtedly to enhance defense. But these alone are not enough to make Xiao Ming look at the Sea Prince scale cloth with new eyes. When he saw the list of abilities that could be exchanged, he suddenly realized why his intuition made him choose this scaled garment. 7 chakras, it is the rotating energy center in the body in Tantric Buddhism. It gathers huge and mysterious natural energy around the body to form an invisible energy wall. Unless the 7 wheels of the chakra are destroyed, this energy wall cannot be destroyed. Almost absolute defense. This is one of the killers of the Sea Prince. It takes 10,000 points of microcosm to activate the 7 chakra skill, and it is consumed at a rate of 500 points per minute. It is completely immune to attacks below level 7. Unless it is an attack on the seed. This skill originated from the theory of 3 channels and 7 wheels in Indian yoga theory. This school did not adopt the theory of the 8 meridians of the Chinese people. The 3 channels refer to the 3 main personality forces formed by the flow of life energy in our body. Abbreviation: left channel, right channel, and middle channel. The left channel is also called the yin channel or the moon channel, which corresponds to the past, drowsiness, sensibility, and superego, and also controls the power of desire. The right meridian, also known as the yang meridian or the solar meridian, corresponds to the future, rational logic, domination, and self, and also controls the power of action. The central channel is located in the middle of the spine, corresponding to the present moment, evolution, and spiritual ascension. This is the channel for humans to unite with the spiritual power of the universe. The 7 chakras refer to the 7 main energy inlets and outlets of our human energy system. They are arranged from bottom to top along the central axis of the human body, namely 1 root chakra, innocence chakra, 2 abdominal chakra, true knowledge chakra, 3 navel chakra, right path chakra, 3 illusion space, 4 heart chakra, benevolence chakra, 5 throat chakra, great harmony chakra, 6 forehead chakra, forgiveness chakra, 7 crown chakra, self-awareness chakra. Just by listening to the names, you can probably know which part of the human body the 7 chakras correspond to. The so-called chakra actually has another name called chakra. It has the same name as the energy of Naruto, so magical. In fact, it is very simple to put it bluntly. The authors of two different works have borrowed the same thing. One uses the name, and the other uses the meaning. Although the defense of the 7 chakra skills is strong. In fact, it is not that attractive to Xiaoming. The reason why intuition leads Xiaoming to choose the scales of the Sea Prince and choose to learn this move. It's just because the skill has a little in common with Heavenly Dance Wheel in theory. For me, the 7 chakras are more superficial. Familiarity with this skill will help Xiaoming to understand the Heavenly Dance Wheel better. That is the real ultimate move. Shaka is the man closest to God. Magic Planet Online Game. Author, Lanzai Cai Shi Zhen Shen. Chapter 1615. Although the original style of the Sea Prince scale cloth is for humans to wear, this kind of equipment that is almost like a divine weapon can change with the change of the player's character. The diver is a 4-armed Naga, so the scales not only add a pair of armor, but also a pair of shields. In addition, the lower body of the scales is also changed to fit the Naga tail, instead of the human bipedal walking mode. Since there are many races in the Magic Planet game, these scales, Hades cloth, Saint cloth, God fighting cloth, and other equipment can change with the wearer. Not to mention this kind of high-end goods, even the blank suits in the store cannot have only one size and only correspond to one race, right? This feature is universal. It's just that the high-end suits are more adaptable. Wearing the Sea Prince scale cloth, the diver quickly went to his defense zone, the Indian Ocean Pillar, and built the Sea Prince Palace, Poseidon Intermediate Temple. The function is the same as the other 3. Although the diver's defense zone is the Indian Ocean Pillar, theoretically, this pillar cannot really be placed under the Indian Ocean. That's incredible. After all, the 7 pillars of the Temple of Poseidon are spread across the 5 oceans of the world. If they are all under the oceans they protect, they can all be connected to the Temple of Poseidon. This is physically impossible. They are too far apart. The Southern Ocean and the Arctic Ocean both run through the Earth, right? Therefore, the underwater Temple of the Sea King is more like being in a special underwater space, connected to the 7 defense zones of the 5 oceans through some magical powers. With the example of the great god Odin, Xiaoming also has a similar plan for the development of Poseidon's forces. He plans to bring the Naga forces and Poseidon together. This matter still needs to be cautious. He should first pull his good friends and followers, such as the mermaid Emily, the little octopus brother Ba, the electric eel son Brian, and other sea creatures into the ranks of sea warriors. Especially the group of sea children in Greystone Town. Of course, there is no rush for this matter. The diver plans to stay here for a while and wait and see if there are any sea creatures who will come to surrender voluntarily. Xiaoming went to resurrect Hades first. 3 gods had been resurrected, so there was no need to send anyone to Athens. Xiaoming controlled the dead to climb Mount Lycabettus. In the main game of Magic Planet, there used to be a Hades temple on this mountain. After the temple was ruined, some soulless undead soldiers wandered in the mountain, causing the mountain to be full of ghosts. Most locals and tourists would not come here to play. However, there will always be people who like to hunt for novelties, not to mention that there is also the profession of necromancer in the game, and there are many undead species, all of which are accepted by the system. The city of Athens must also allow their existence. So these undead people would come from all over Europe to worship the mountain, hoping to win the favor of Lord Hades and reward him with some artifacts and strong soldiers. Even if not, teaching a trick or two is better than nothing. Unfortunately, because these guys did not master the microcosm, they could not get a response from Hades. Over time, the older generation of the dead gradually stopped coming. Occasionally, some new dead wizards would not believe in evil. Especially those apprentices, they always felt that they were favored by the goddess of luck. Others could not do it, but they could do it. So they came to Athens from a long distance, but returned home unhappy. Some of them were particularly stubborn and even lived in MaleProtagonist. They simply did not leave. Over time, these dead tribes and dead wizards actually gathered in large numbers, and they could exchange some experiences of dead magic with each other. Even MaleProtagonist became one of the gathering places for European dead wizards. Of course, this was the former territory of the goddess Athena after all, and there were not many dead souls living here for a long time. There were only about 100. Moreover, the Athens city government and the high-level officials of the Byzantine Empire would definitely not allow the dead wizards to build a wizard tower. Therefore, the ranks of the undead who live here are not very high. During the process of climbing the mountain, the dead can often see the residences of some necromancers. Necromancers are relatively lonely and mostly live alone. Occasionally, there will be 2 or 3 necromancers who become neighbors, and they are probably good friends with each other. Perhaps partly due to the ruins of the Hades temple, or because of the gathering of so many necromancers, it is obvious that the breath of death in MaleProtagonist is a little stronger. Just this point is enough to dissuade many other races who want to come here to play. At the same time, it will also attract some frustrated undead. Most of the undead turned a blind eye to the dead who climbed the mountain. The 4th level necromancers are indeed the most suitable group to immigrate here. But due to the character of the undead, most of them will not take the initiative to talk to him. It was not until Xiao Ming reached the halfway point of the mountain that he met a guy who took the initiative to talk to him. This person claimed to be from the famous family of the necromancer world, the Sandro family. He opened an alchemy item store halfway up the mountain. The main trade is things related to the undead. It also functions as a tavern. He took the initiative to call the dead, of course, to attract business. The undead who can be a businessman will always be more lively. My friend the undead wizard, take a break. Our bones can't stand the tossing. The mountain is still very high. Let's have a drink and take a rest. It doesn't matter if you are not tired. There are all kinds of things in Sandro's shop that you will definitely use. They are absolutely good value for money. Seeing the informer of the dead walk past him without saying a word and without looking back, he finally stopped talking until he could no longer see his back. Xiao Ming's behavior seemed a bit unkind, but in fact, he was following the local customs. Because the undead are not human beings. They don't have the habit of greeting each other like humans. The informer of the dead has no interest in drinking or buying things, so not talking is the most normal reaction of a necromancer. Talking too much will attract unnecessary attention. Xiao Ming's acting skills are explosive. However, even so, the 4th level Sandro seemed to pay attention to the informer of the dead, and arranged 2 3rd-level ghosts to follow the informer of the dead from a distance. Anyway, the troops under his command are idle anyway, so it is most appropriate to send them out for reconnaissance. Ghost troops can fly and are not affected by terrain, they can pass through some not-so-thick obstacles, they also have a certain chance to dodge the enemy's physical attacks. The most powerful thing is that ghosts can automatically restore vitality at regular intervals. This is an ability that other troops do not have. It should be safe to follow a 4th-level necromancer. If he is discovered and attacked, he can just turn around and run. After all, the deceased is an outsider. How dare he bully the local snake? Sandro feels that he has nothing to fear. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Magic Planet Online Game. Author, Lanzai Cai Shi Zhenshen. Chapter 1616. It must be said that the necromancers in MaleProtagonist, including Sandro, really caused some unnecessary troubles to the informer. In terms of combat power, they are not qualified to cause trouble to Xiao Ming. Although when the informer climbed to the top of the mountain, there was a long line of spies following him from a distance. These spies were all sent to follow the informer to see the situation when they passed by some necromancers. If the informer can get benefits, they will not mind sharing a piece of the pie, or even directly rob it. This kind of competition is not prohibited within the undead tribe. The soldiers who can be spies are not small characters such as skeleton soldiers or zombies. Most of them are ghosts and ghosts, followed by skeleton cavalry, flying skeleton soldiers, and 3 or 5 undead thieves. Fortunately, Xiaoming can clear these guys with a raise of his hand, and they do not pose any threat at all. The real trouble is that it is difficult to find the ruins of the Temple of Hades now. Because, every brick and stone in the ruins had been emptied by these undead. They took them home to collect and study, and even worshipped them every day. I hope that sincerity can make a difference. As long as time is long enough, I may get the favor of Hades. So if there is nothing left, how can Xiaoming find the ruins of Hades' temple? Is it a blind guess? Moreover, the death breath on the mountain has been messed up by these wizards, and it is difficult to detect the traces left by Hades. Now we can only rely on Hades' microcosm. But probably because of the disturbance of these long-living undead, even the remaining microcosm of Hades is very illusory and difficult to trace. Because Hades once tried all kinds of treatments in a hurry and guided them to help him, the result was naturally useless, and he also wasted his small microcosm in vain. Epsilon equals Omicron asterisk. Alas, Xiaoming was so angry that he almost wanted to kill all the spies behind him. But he stopped at the brink. As a civil servant of the underworld, he cannot kill innocent people indiscriminately, let alone hurt people because of his anger. Even if the target is not a person, but just a group of NPC soldiers. God knows if there are souls or programs recognized by the underworld. This is the bad thing about being a ghost messenger. From now on, the cool words such as decisive killing and resolute are no longer suitable for Xiaoming. He has to be called nagging. Seeing that it was only an hour before 8 o'clock in the evening, Xiaoming decided to leave the main game temporarily, calm down, and come back tomorrow morning to study what to do. 3 of the 4 great gods who appeared in Saint Seiya have been resurrected by himself, and the last one must be resurrected. But you can't eat hot tofu in a hurry, and it is easy to make mistakes in a hurry. Xiaoming decided to find a secret realm to play and change his mood. Take it as a halftime break. So on the evening of November 15th, Xiaoming started the random secret realm of the Magic Planet game, which was limited to the secret realm of small games, hoping to play around and relax. The first 2 times, he randomly got Dinosaur Fighter and 3 Kingdoms War, both of which were games of killing people or killing dragons. Xiaoming gave up on both. The 3rd time, he randomly got a secret realm designed based on another classic game of the year, Street Fighter. This is good. The plot of the game is not important at all. Players only need to fight against each character in a single battle, and the battle adopts a 3-game to win mode. If the player's own strength is too weak, he can also choose any character to operate. He can also train himself. Xiaoming can fight by himself. The best thing about this game is that its battle mode does not kill people, it is just a competition. Xiaoming does not have to worry about damaging his merits. The game process is unremarkable. Because Xiaoming's fighting power is too strong. These street fighters of about level 4 are not enough for him to fight together. He also had to suppress his strength secretly, fighting them one by one with the same vitality, attack power, and defense power, and only using martial arts, but the result did not change. Even if he suppressed his strength, Xiaoming's vision would not degenerate. Every time the opponent raised his hands and feet, he would immediately expose his attack intention. How could he fight like this? Therefore, Xiaoming had to let them go frequently and happily played with these NPCs for a whole night before he passed the level. Because the clearance time was too long, the rewards were not very good. Xiaoming was only allowed to choose 3 of the characters to enter the summoning cube, and they could fight for Xiaoming in the game in the future. And the big devil Vega, policeman, was not allowed to be selected. If I had known this earlier, I would have played faster. Each battle ended within 1 second, so that after passing the level, Xiaoming might be able to pack up all the characters and take them away. A group of 4th level characters are not very useful, but they can also satisfy Xiaoming's desire to collect. Besides, these characters can be well cultivated. Now it's good, only 3 characters can be taken away. 1. Extreme Karate Long, because of his white clothes, he is also called White Long. 2. Extreme Karate Ken is Long's fellow apprentice. His nickname Red Ken is known to everyone without asking. As for the last character, Xiaoming chose Chinese girl Chun-Li because she is also a descendant of Yan Huang, not because of her high slit Chong Sam. Occasionally. The next morning, Xiaoming logged in to report the dead with a refreshed spirit, and used ninjutsu to create a thick fog that covered the entire mountain. In this way, he successfully got rid of those spies. Then he used the force to guide his direction. After circling in Mount Lycabettus for a while, he finally came to a wasteland. This is the original site of the Hades temple. The next step is easy, because Xiaoming can feel Hades's elusive little universe, which is the most obvious here. Let me quickly add a little more for you. Even if it is not for the hidden mission and the huge reward, just looking at the fact that Hades is so much worse than the other 3 gods in Athens, it is worth Xiaoming to shed a few tears of sympathy and take care of him. If Xiaoming does not go to the other 3 gods, they can at least live for a long time. Lord Pluto gives people the feeling that he will die at any time. Hades had the strongest strength at his peak, and he is currently the weakest god. Xiaoming consumed a lot of his little universe to resurrect him, almost twice as much as Athena. After paying so much, the reward for the deceased is also the most awesome among the 4 characters. In addition to the title of Hades's first disciple, mythical quest group, and legendary quest chain, the informant also got a choice that shocked him. Xiaoming thought that at most he could choose between the underworld clothes of the 3 giants of the underworld Tian Mengxing, Tian Xiongxing, and Tian Geixing. He never expected that Hades valued the informant so much that he allowed him to choose the underworld clothes of Hypnos, the god of sleep, Donatus, the god of death, or Pandora, the commander of Hades. It's too outrageous. Magic Planet Online Game. Author, Lanzai Cai Shi Zhenshen. Chapter 1617. These 3 choices are too scary. Hypnos, the god of sleep, and then Ados, the god of death, are twin gods serving Hades, the god of the underworld. In Greek mythology, the most powerful gods are the 12 main gods of Olympus, headed by Zeus, the emperor of heaven. Athena, Poseidon, and Hades are among them. Their strength is also the top among the gods. Since there are top gods, there are gods who are not as good as them, and gods who are far inferior to them. The god of sleep and the god of death are the gods second only to the 12 main gods, and their strength is far above all kinds of fighters. For the 2 of them, 108 Hades fighters are just cannon fodder. Xiaoming's own state is definitely not as good as these 2. If he merges with Xiao Xiao and turns into a dragon warrior, he may be able to fight one of them fairly. The specific gap is still unknown because there is no reference. I never expected that the system would give such face and actually reward their Hades clothes to the dead. Is this the rhythm of cultivating myself into a god? God will give great responsibility to this person. However, facing such an opportunity, Xiaoming was indecisive, hesitant. In the end, he decisively gave up. Xiaoming's character is generally stable, and he will definitely be timid when encountering danger. For such a good thing that falls from the sky, the first thing he will consider is whether there is any trick in it. Is the god's underworld clothes so easy to wear? It is very likely that I can't afford such a huge consumption of the small universe. That would be a complete waste of this opportunity. Still should do what you can, wear a hat as big as your head. Let's be careless and choose the underworld clothes of Pandora, the commander of the Hades warrior. Pandora in the original book is just an ordinary person. She is the sister of Hades, the reincarnation of Hades. She was originally a noble girl born in Dia. She accidentally released then Aetos and Hypnos, so she was given the great ability to rule 108 Hades warriors by the Gemini god and became the commander-in-chief of the underworld army. Its status is equivalent to the North Star of the Nordic Asgard, or the Pope of the Greek sanctuary. The undersea temple does not seem to have this position, and it is represented by General Hailong. It is very likely to be in the game, but I don't know what name it will be called. Pandora in the original book actually has no combat ability, but is a high-ranking position. But in the game, the commander-in-chief of the Hades warriors is a real position, and only the strong can be competent. This Pandora Hades cloth also has powerful attributes, and is even better than the 3 giant Hades cloths. Similarly, the armor of the Pope and the North Star is also stronger than that of the 12 gold saints and the 7 god warriors. They all belong to another level. Pandora Hades cloth 7th level advanced suit. Equipment attributes: life add 40,000, strength add 40,000, comprehensive defense add 20,000, comprehensive attack add 20,000. Consumes 2,000 small universes per minute. The most important thing is that this Hades cloth also represents status. When Hades and the twin gods are not resurrected or reincarnated, the person who legally wears this Hades robe has the power to command all Hades warriors. In fact, even if the 3 great gods are there, they are generally too lazy to manage 108 Hades warriors and a group of Hades legions. The commander will still be responsible for unified management. This power is quite large. The titles of Xiao Ming's other 3 characters are only the first believers of God, and they have not reached the position of commander. Explorers still need to work hard to complete tasks to win. But the dead do not know what kind of shit luck they have, and they can be directly granted such a lofty status. Will the system give a player a free ride like this? Of course not. The effort is equal to the reward, and risks and opportunities coexist. This is the basic principle of the Magic Planet game. Of course, if the direction of effort is wrong or the decision is wrong, there is also the possibility of losing everything. It should be said that if you don't work hard, you will have nothing, and if you work hard, you may not have anything. Since the ruins of Hades' temple have been almost destroyed by the undead, his remaining small universe is also weaker than other gods. Therefore, it is very difficult for players to find this clue, and it is even more difficult to initially revive Hades. Therefore, it is normal to get a better reward than others. And this reward has both risks and opportunities. For the ordinary holy clothes, god-fighting clothes, and scale clothes, even if the player chooses clothes that he can't use, he will not be hurt. Just treat it as a collection. But the 3 choices given by Hades to the dead are hidden. In the background story of the main game of Magic Planet, whether it is Hypnos, the god of sleep, then Aetos, the god of death, or Pandora, the commander of Hades, they all once had extremely powerful microcosms. Pandora's microcosm will be slightly weaker, but it is definitely above the 3 giants. And Hades is a god who has the ability to resurrect the dead. So he has the ability and means to revive these 3. The rewards for players also hide traps. This time, if the dead choose Pandora's Hades clothes, he can still do tasks for Hades normally at the beginning, and he will always get relatively excessive rewards. For example, there are many more microcosms than normal rewards. But what the accuser gets is not his own universe, but Pandora's universe. Therefore, in secret, the accuser's body will be gradually eroded by Pandora. After certain special conditions are met, Pandora can take over the body and be reborn, replacing the accuser and resurrecting. Xiao Ming has worked so hard, but he has done wedding clothes for others. Of course, Xiao Ming himself will not be harmed. It is only his game character, the accuser, who is taken over. This is a big pit. In fact, it's not just these three guys. Even the regular 108 Hades clothes have similar settings. After all, the power of Hades warriors comes from the demon star. Players need to fight against the demon star. They can master the power of the demon star, or they may be controlled by the demon star. It's not easy to be a worker. However, no matter how powerful the conspiracy is, it can't resist the cheating. With Xiao Ming's golden finger, let alone Pandora, even the god of sleep and the god of death, it is actually difficult to succeed in taking over. On the contrary, they will be like meat buns hitting dogs, and feed their small universes that they have accumulated for many years to the dead. In this way, risks are transformed into opportunities. In this way, it seems that Xiao Ming did not choose one of the twin gods, but chose the relatively weaker Pandora, which is a bit of a loss. In fact, it is not the case. After all, Xiao Ming's personal game time is completely irregular. If he is unlucky, he may be distracted by other things. As a result, he is not online for a long time. As a result, the one who really operates the dead for a long time is the intelligent program Xiao Wu'er. He does not have the ability to resist the erosion of the god-level small universe. Maybe, after a while, Xiao Ming will be busy with other things and come back to find out in shock, "Oh my! Who ate my dead person? How come it is gone?" Choosing Pandora is much safer. Xiao Ming only needs to come a few more times and he will have a good chance to get this great bargain. Magic Planet Online Game. Author, Lanzai Cai Shi Zhen Shen. Chapter 1618. The conspiracy of Hades, or rather the conspiracy of the game system, failed the moment the deceased put on the Pandora's clothes. According to the predetermined plan, at this moment, the fragments of Pandora's soul stored inside the Mingyi will sneak into the body of the informant and hide them. After that, as the fragments of her own soul and the small universe gradually mix into the body of the deceased, Pandora's soul will gradually regain its strength and find an opportunity to seize the deceased in one fell swoop. Soul fragments that can play such a role are naturally not ordinary soul fragments, but very important fragments, similar to the remnant souls in Voldemort's Horcruxes. Xiao Ming happened to have encountered Voldemort's remnant soul in Harry Potter and was quite sensitive to such things. Although Pandora's remnant soul was very careful, Xiao Ming saw through it at a glance and swallowed it for digestion. The deceased has just completed the first round of the mission The Awakening of Hades and has already obtained 2,000 small universe points. The rewards are twice as much as other characters. At this time, after swallowing Pandora's soul fragment, the upper limit of the small universe was suddenly increased by 10,000 points. Directly came to the level of Silver Saint. Cowhide. In fact, during this process, Xiao Ming's body was also enhanced, but it was just not obvious. The key is that Hades, the current Hades, has just been resurrected and is still too weak. He is in a hazy state and his consciousness is not particularly clear. He did not realize that Pandora's soul fragments had been swallowed by the dead. Therefore, in future missions, he will continue to give small universes mixed with Pandora's soul fragments to the deceased in the name of rewards. The game system can detect the difference. However, this is the player's own ability. The system has no need, no obligation, and should not remind Hades. We can only discover the situation by ourselves after Pluto becomes stronger. It depends on which one moves faster, Pluto or the teller. Other gods take great care of believers and help each other. Hades, on the other hand, focuses on deception and exploitation, and has been trying to burn bridges from the very beginning. If Hades attracted many believers in a short period of time, and they quickly dedicated a large number of small universes and beliefs to Pluto, then Hades would be able to quickly discover the problem of suing the dead. Although he can't blatantly punish the whistleblower, Hades can allocate tasks more towards other players who have been recruited. Worst of all, he wouldn't mix Pandora's soul fragments into the rewards given to the informants. As long as there are enough fragments left, he can choose another player or NPC to resurrect Pandora. But if Hades had only one believer, the accuser, or all the believers were under Xiao Ming's control, then the rate at which the accuser would be rewarded for his meritorious service would exceed the speed at which Pluto could regain his strength. When Hades really wakes up, all the fragments of Pandora's soul may have been eaten and wiped clean. A meat bun beats a dog and never comes back. At that time, he also had to accept the fact that the deceased became the commander of the underworld warriors. Based on his experience, Xiao Ming was able to guess the system settings for this kind of task. Moreover, Hades has been initially resurrected, and Xiao Ming has no ability to stop him from looking for believers. This kind of god-level small universe can float almost everywhere in the world. Fortunately, the game is still in its early stages, and mainstream players have just gradually reached level 4. There is still a big gap between the starting standards for becoming a follower of Pluto. As for NPC, there is no need to consider it. In the main game, there have never been NPCs fighting as microcosms, and we have to wait for players to bring microcosms into the game. Without the small universe, NPCs would not be able to fully communicate with the remnant soul of Hades. It seems that there is no need to worry about this issue yet. Since it was not found that the accuser had swallowed Pandora's soul fragments, Hades' best choice now was to recruit more believers and warriors by accusing the deceased. Putting aside a ready-made first believer and wasting your precious little universe to contact other people who are difficult to contact would be crazy. Of course, after all, the deceased has to complete the task to obtain the soul fragments. And every time a task is completed, Hades' strength will also be enhanced. So Lord Pluto will eventually wake up. Xiao Ming can only race against time to defraud more soul fragments before he wakes up. No more gossip, let's get down to business. From the very beginning, the task flow performed by the informant was different from the task flow of several other characters. Explorers and divers both need to find the damaged teleportation array and repair it before they can go to the Nordic Asgard and the Undersea Temple respectively to resurrect Odin and Poseidon. However, the deceased did not encounter the step of teleportation when completing the mission. He initially resurrected Pluto directly on the ruins of the Hades embassy in Athens. Then things changed even more. The deceased did not get the normal second-level mission, which required him to build temples, recruit believers, and underworld warriors. The second ring task of telling the dead is, building Hades City. You must know that Hades territory is the entire underworld. This thing has never appeared in the main game. In the days when Hades was powerful, he also owned a city of Hades in the above world. It is the entrance and exit of two worlds. The builder and guardian of the city is Pandora and the Pluto army she controls. Since the informant has chosen Pandora's clothing, he has to take over Pandora's job, so his second task is to build Hades City. The construction method is actually very simple. You need to find a city of the undead first, and the second step is for the informant to obtain ownership of the city. After that, you can dedicate it to the Lord of the Underworld. The city will automatically transform into Hades City. Of course, this transformation requires a lot of resources, gold coins, and the breath of death. The money must be borne by the informant personally. After the task is completed, Hades City will naturally belong to the commander of the Hades Legion. The predecessor of Hades City must be a small city at least, and villages and towns are definitely not qualified. If a larger city can be transformed, the reward will be better. It's just very difficult. There is another point that needs to be emphasized. Just with Pandora's clothing, the informant is not a real all-weather commander of the Hades Legion. Only when he wears the clothing on his body, he has the corresponding authority. Without clothes, the Hades warriors have no obligation to obey him. At this stage, Only when Xiao Ming is online can the deceased be the commander. When Xiao Wu is in charge, he does not have this right. It is indeed lonely at the top. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Magic Planet Online Game. Author, Lanzai Cai Shi Zhenshen. Chapter 1619. Of course, there are cities of the undead race, and there are many. However, none of them are located on the adventure map, but on the strategic map. Fortunately, our Hades is not picky. Although he was resurrected on the adventure map, he doesn't mind moving to the strategic map to play. In fact, no matter where Hades City is built, his hometown will always be the underworld. It doesn't matter to him which land or which human world it is connected to. He can even feel a little fresh when he moves to a new place. The distribution of the power of the dead in the strategic map is roughly like this. He has a funnel city on the main island of Japan, which is a city of the undead and a city specialized in skeletons. There are 3 undead cities, Pingnan, Dingnan, and Zhenese, outside the southwest of the Ming dynasty. These 2 ruling areas have been developed and guarded by the heroes and generals under the command of the dead for several months. At present, they have established a firm foothold. In addition, the dead later got several pieces of undead village building stones, all of which were used on the North American continent. Because Xiao Ming has been carrying out death harvest in North America, causing a large-scale natural disaster of the undead. As a result, there are hundreds of thousands of undead wandering in North America. The breath of death is everywhere. So the undead city built here is very advantageous. The development of economic livelihood is also much faster than the undead cities in other areas. However, after all, it started late, and so far, the undead cities built in North America have not developed. At this time, Xiao Ming faces the choice, where to arrange Hades City. Japan, Annan, or North America. Before making this choice, we must first see whether Xiao Ming regards Hades City as a good thing or a bad thing. As a gift or a disaster. As the power of Hades gradually recovers, his strength is getting stronger. His Hades City in the human world may benefit from it and develop a relatively powerful undead force. By then, if he intends to invade the human world, Hades City will be the bridgehead, just like what happened in Saint Seiya. The surroundings must be invaded first. If Pluto fears other gods and dares not invade the human world, then the area around Hades City will probably be included in his sphere of influence. Is this a good thing or a bad thing? Xiao Ming thought about it for a long time and felt that it was basically not a big problem. After all, Hades' resurrection will take a long time and a complex and difficult task chain. It is not so easy to do. Before that, Hades City and its surrounding areas should be under his control. It will not bring disaster to the human world. So, Xiao Ming finally decided to dedicate Funnel City, the first city of the informant of the dead. This city has the best development and excellent geographical location. Dedicating it will have a higher degree of task completion. Unfortunately, the accuser of the dead is too low in rank, and the highest level of all the cities under his name is a small city. He does not have the power to promote to a medium-sized city. If he cannot take out a medium-sized city or even a large city to do the task, he probably doesn't have to expect too much from the reward of this link. Of course, Xiao Ming did not plan to wait for a medium-sized city to appear under his command. After all, Xiao Ming currently has no clues about the city upgrade, and he has no time to wait. Just deal with Funnel City. Anyway, I didn't want Hades to be too strong. I never expected that building a Hades would cost so much. When the ceremony began, tens of millions of gold coins and hundreds of various resources began to disappear at a speed visible to the naked eye. Xiao Ming was so distressed. In the end, only 1 million gold coins were left, and more than 100 units of each resource. It was considered to stop. Almost all the fruits of Xiaoming's 4 intelligent programs' labor for several months were cleared. But in fact, it was not much different. An intermediate Athena temple consumed more than 10 million gold coins and more than 200 various resources. Normal intermediate temples are not so expensive, because the researcher is rebuilding the Chinu Palace, a building with special significance, so it costs a little more. The Yao Guangxing temple built by the explorer is relatively cheap by 20%, but the construction cost of the Sea Prince Palace of the diver is 10% more expensive. In general, Xiaoming spent about 30 million gold coins and 600 or 700 various resources. So the wealth spent on Hades City is twice the cost of the first Maiden Palace. And it is obvious that Hades City has not been fully built. The general structure is already complete. This city has the function of an intermediate Hades temple. Like the other 3 gods, most functions are not open. There are only 3 basic functions: praying, teleporting and blessing. Speaking of Hades' blessing, does anyone dare to accept it? So where did Xiaoming spend his money and resources? In fact, they were all used for decoration. Lord Hades likes to use all kinds of gems and precious objects to decorate his city. Let alone a mere 20 million, even if there is 10 times more wealth, it is estimated that he can spend it all at once. If the player's wealth is below a certain level, I am afraid that even the ceremony cannot be held. Hades is really a big pit. Fortunately, the real wealth of Xiaoming's 4 game characters is not these floating wealth, but various goods hoarded in different cities. The total value is as much as 300 to 500 million. Because gold coins cannot earn interest if they are left there. The 4 intelligent programs with supercomputing power would not be stupid enough to leave too much floating wealth outside. The 50 million was just for pocket money for each character. The 4 characters had dozens of cities, hundreds of heroes and generals, and nearly 1 million troops under their command. The daily maintenance expenses alone were not small, and it would not work without tens of millions in the account. As a result, it was all spent in the past few days. Fortunately, Xiaoming still has those goods. Seeing that Xiaoming's gold coins and resources are all gone, several characters will soon sell a large number of goods to make up for the money and resources. By then, the task of build Hades City will be completed, and Hades can no longer spend money. This time, Xiaoming's total wealth has shrunk by about 10%. Although he has not suffered any serious injuries, he has caught a cold and had a fever. Fortunately, Xiaoer and other intelligent programs will take the initiative to fill this hole, so Xiaoming doesn't have to worry about it himself. Otherwise, just the aftermath will be enough to annoy him to death. Even so, this accident scared Xiaoming enough. He specifically told the intelligent programs to take this as a warning and prepare for a rainy day. $. The storage of goods must not be relaxed, and the banner of making money will never fall. As for the details, Xiaoming is not qualified to say more, and it can be left to them to grasp. In fact, judging from this emergency, they have done a good job, much better than Xiaoming himself. Xiaoming's nagging seems a bit unnecessary. If it were someone else, they would have been impatient. But the intelligent program is very patient. You have to know that Xiaoer and the others were given independent souls by Xiaoming himself. They have deep feelings for their father Zhang Xiaoming. No matter how long-winded Xiaoming is, they are actually willing to listen more. What a group of good children. Magic Planet Online Game. Author, Lanzai Cai Shi Zhenshen. Chapter 1620. Today, Hades City is magnificent, with more than a dozen tall gray-black spires than before. The appearance of the castle has also changed a lot. It looks much more gloomy and terrifying than its predecessor, Funnel City. I don't know if the defense of the city wall and the attack power of the arrow tower have been improved. The possibility of enemies coming to attack the city is very low, and Xiao Ming thinks there is probably no chance to test it. Unless he takes the initiative to let the distant enemies come all the way to attack the city smoothly. This kind of thing will definitely reduce Hades's evaluation of the deceased, and it is really not worth the risk. Hades City is still a small city in principle, but its entire city has the function of an intermediate Hades temple. No matter where the player or NPC is in the city, they can pray to Hades, they can be teleported to the adventure map, and they can also get Hades' blessing through blessings. At the same time, the original functions of the city have not disappeared. The barracks continue to recruit soldiers every week, and the undead soldiers in the city have become the peripheral troops of the Hades army. Probably only the function of the tavern has changed to a certain extent. Heroes, generals, and soldiers of any race other than the undead will never appear in this tavern again. In fact, Funnel City was originally a city of great unity among all races, and any race was welcome to come. On the island in the lake not far from the city, there is the pirate specialized city of Drunkard City. In the next map in the southeast, there is the human bandit specialized city of Turtle Mountain City. At the same time, in the north of Funnel City, there is a small fire hall water fort at the entrance of Funnel Lake. That is the territory of Sarutobi Suzuki, the ninja force under the command of the dead. Everyone belongs to the dead, and the parties often carry out various commercial exchange activities with Funnel City as the center, which greatly promotes the development of the three maps. Therefore, in addition to the undead, there are many bandits, pirates, ninjas, and other human NPCs living in Funnel City. Now Funnel City has officially changed to Hades City, automatically excluding all races other than the undead from the city. This is a bit troublesome. Fortunately, as long as the dead teller wears Pandora's clothes, he will be the commander-in-chief of the Hades army. These foreigners can be granted the right to enter Hades City. But it is still very inconvenient to do so. Therefore, not long after, these people automatically moved their activity center to Drunkard City. There are no more non-undead ethnic groups in Hades City. Although it is troublesome to travel to and from Drunkard City by boat. But it is much better than staying in Hades City, always being rejected by Hades' small universe. The exclusive characteristics of Hades really makes Yao Ming helpless and speechless. This guy doesn't understand the economy and people's livelihood at all, and doesn't know that communicating with other races is also beneficial to the undead. It seems that this guy must be a racist, and we must be cautious about his resurrection. On the afternoon of November 16, the second ring of the hidden task chain, the rebirth of Hades, accepted by the deceased building Hades City, was officially completed. Xiao Ming estimated that although this task was completed on the strategic map, it seemed to have nothing to do with strategy, and there should be no chance of strategic experience. But it shouldn't be a problem to upgrade the adventure level to level 5, right? Even if level 5 is too much, level 3 will do. What a pity. Hades seems to be determined to let Pandora take over the body of the dead. This round cost the player 20 million gold coins and hundreds of resources, but he didn't give any experience. Except for the 2 temple cornerstones, all the rewards are piled on the small universe. The upper limit of the Dead Accuser's small universe increased by 2,000 points, and an additional Pandora soul fragment was added. In other words, after absorbing the soul fragment, the Dead Accuser's small universe increased to 24,000. At this rate, the Dead Accuser will soon be able to enter the level of Gold Saints. As long as there are enough small universes, the Dead Accuser will wear Pandora's Hades, and his vitality, strength, defense, and attack power will soar. Directly as a 4th level player, he has the combat power comparable to the 7th level A-level NPC. This does not require Xiao Ming to go online personally, even the intelligent program Xiao Wuer can exert this strength. The only problem is the lack of endurance. After all, the rank of the Dead Accuser is still at level 4, and the small universe cannot be automatically restored. No matter how high the upper limit is, it will be exhausted. You should know that Pandora's Hades cloth consumes 2,000 small universes every minute. Now the total amount of the dead accuser's small universe is only enough to last for 12 minutes. This is because Xiao Ming swallowed 2 Pandora soul fragments. Otherwise, the dead accuser should only have 4,000 small universes and 2 minutes of endurance. During this period, the dead accuser cannot consume additional small universes. Otherwise, the duration will be shorter. Fortunately, there is a fundamental difference between intelligent programs and players. They don't have the desire to wear Hades cloth to show off. So Xiao Wu'er will choose the most appropriate time to make the most of this short time. Of course, Xiao Ming must also seize the time to work hard on the task and try to lay a solid family foundation for Xiao Wu'er. The more small universes the dead accuser has, the better. The next round of tasks: Phantom Warrior Recruitment Phase 1, Orange Epic Level. The system said, Hades City must be protected by a regular army of Hades warriors, so the deceased is obliged to recruit 12 qualified Hades warriors for Lord Hades. The recruitment procedure is as follows. The deceased needs to pay a certain amount of small universe first to exchange Hades clothes with Lord Hades. Part of the small universe can be replaced by faith value. Then find a suitable wearer for this Hades garment. If it does not match, the wearer will die and Hades will take it back. The deceased will have to buy it again. If a suitable wearer is found, the Hades Legion will get a qualified Hades warrior. Then the deceased can exchange for the next Hades garment and continue to look for a qualified wearer. Repeat this action until all 12 Hades warriors are found. As for the Hades garment, it is not exchanged casually. The order of recruitment is entirely determined by Lord Hades. Among the 12 sets of Hades garments in the first stage, there will be 8 sets of Earthly Star Hades garments and 4 sets of Heavenly Star Hades garments. There will be no Hades garments of the 3 giants in this round. As for what kind of warrior can become a Hades warrior, the system allows players to explore the rules by themselves. The task rewards are closely related to the quality of recruiting Hades warriors and the time spent by the players. But it has nothing to do with the number of failures. The system also emphasized that no matter how many times the player fails, it will not affect the reward given by Lord Hades. Its intention is nothing more than to let the players try as much as possible and fail more. In this way, players have to repeatedly exchange Hades's clothes and offer a large number of small universes to further accelerate Hades' resurrection process. Xiao Ming has nothing to say about this. It is normal for Hades to play such tricks. The other 3 gods are much more kind than him. I don't intend to fall into his trap and must succeed at once.